Oh, definitely. Just from my subscribers, and I have a versatile group of subscribers. I mean, conservatives, liberals, anarchists, different religions. I try not to shut anybody out, let them have a voice. And I always try to, in my earlier videos, try to include everybody and try not to push too hard. That's kind of my angle. I want to let people think for themselves, look for themselves and come to the conclusions, of what's really going on in the world. And I get letters, PMs all the time on YouTube of people who even disagree, with some of the videos I put out. But, just because of my presentation and stuff, that they have admiration and respect, and we do find the common ground. And, and then I have other people ask the same question, what can I do? What can I do? Or, you're preaching to the choir. You're preaching to the choir. And I'm like, well, I get a lot of letters from people who are waking up all the time. And, and then sometimes you need to preach to the choir because they need to hear it, to give them motivation and inspiration to keep pushing that information out there because people are waking up, for sure.
Exactly. And, one of the things that I try not to do so much is to preach to the choir, trying to bring more people in. But like you said, even when you're not bringing new people in, reminding people about how bad it is and that they can be useful and that they can step up to the plate and they can make a difference, they can change things, is always helpful as well. And, with this video now in its first week going viral, I mean, the DVDs literally haven't even hit the streets yet. People don't have the DVDs. It's only on the web. The buzz around this movie is tremendous, and I'm hoping in the next few months we can keep it going. We can call into, these phony neoconservative talk shows like Hannity, like Limbaugh, like Michael Savage, who is now saying, oh, there's going to be a false flag attack. Savage, where were you when 9/11 happened? Oh, that's right, you were demonizing 9/11 truthers when they brought up all the inconsistencies in that story. So this guy now calling saying, oh, well, this administration is going to call a false flag event. Well, I hope he's wrong. But at the same time, if he's right, I hope people don't think to go to this guy because he's not genuine. And there are so many disingenuous talking heads out there, Glenn Beck being another one. Yeah, he's telling you about the Federal Reserve System now. He's telling you about the economy now. Where was he 18 months ago when he could have made a difference? You know what I'm saying?
Correct. And this is like a lot of the people who support Obama. I mean, I really feel bad. I really do feel sorry for these people because they're really putting faith in this guy. And it's like I've seen them just on the new video, the Obama deception, and they don't even watch it, or they don't have anything that they can actually, counter any of the evidence that was presented. It's all conspiracy theories, and it's like, no, this is factual documentation. These people saying it. I mean, there is no change. I mean, look at his cabinet. I mean, it's just crazy. It's like these are the same people who are CEOs and, and have been doing this for so long. I mean, look at Henry Kissinger. I mean, come on. He's had his hand in every president and, for forever. It's like there's no change there. And I really feel bad for people. But the thing about the new film, the Obama is I haven't seen one comment from anybody who is disagreeing with it that can give any kind of documentation or have any really legitimate argument about anything in the video.
Well, let me say this. This video has gone so super viral that I got a phone call from somebody I haven't spoken to in like 2 or 3 years physically. We keep in touch on MySpace. We used to flip pizzas together. And he calls me out of the blue today. And he starts telling me how one of the guys he works with, he works at this government site in Washington where it's got a ton of nuclear waste. I couldn't believe it when he was telling me this stuff. He's like, yeah, I help clean up and I do all this other eco work. And I'm like, oh my God. But anyway, he's like, my boss came back from California and he had your movie, Fabled Enemies. And he's like, I didn't even know you'd made this one. We have talked about loose change before. But then he said, what's going on with this Obama deception? And apparently one of his other friends had brought that up to him. And this movie, again, has only been out for a week. So for him to ask me about the Obama deception so early really is, a positive thing. And, this guy didn't even vote. And the funny thing is he's telling me his friend that contacted him about the Obama deception actually voted for Obama and is just kind of starting to wake up. And he's like, what do you think about this? And Dan's like, well, that's why I didn't vote. He's like, because it's so obvious that both parties are controlled, by the corporate elite.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that
I have a lot of friends like that too. They voted for Obama, and it started off, they were really hyped, and then as the time has went on since his inauguration, it's died down. It's like people got bored with the hype. I mean, even though there's still a lot of supporters out there making excuses up, for what he's reneging on already and his cabinet choices and all of that, they're starting to quiet down. It actually, honestly, reminds me of right after 9/11 when everybody had the flags. They were out on the streets, selling flags for donations and all of this, and then like months later, all of a sudden you see all of these torn and ripped up and tattered flags, and it's just like the American public really gets bored with stuff really easy. And I think that the hype has died down for Obama, and this is a really good time to change, and get those people that actually voted for Obama, and showing them the real deal and getting them to turn around and get them excited and like they're, just figuring it out for themselves that, hey, this guy's no different than Bush was or Clinton was, actually he's more like Clinton, than Bush,
Yeah, because he's a slicker speaker and he looks like he actually knows something because he is intelligent. He doesn't stumble over his words. He actually, has a likable demeanor. Yeah, it's pretty scary when you have a Clinton-esque president in a time when they're gutting the economy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Did you hear this story I talked about in the first hour? IMF poised to print billions of dollars in global quantitative easing, and that they're going to now print billions of dollars worth of a global super currency in an unprecedented new effort to address the economic crisis. Here they are admitting that they want to print a global super currency and that they're going to be discussing it over at the G20 happening in the beginning of April.
That's a conspiracy theory now.
I guess so, because, I've been talking about a global currency and a global government, and here it is. It's unbelievable. But now that the Telegraph is telling me, and it must be true, it's just like now that Time Magazine is saying that there's a new world order, it must be true, but we can't talk about it in a derogatory manner. Kenneth, why don't you give up your YouTube channel?
It's ChangeDaChannel.
Mm-hmm. Spell it for folks? Because it's D-A, right? ChangeDaChannel. All right, Kenneth, thank you so much. It is a YouTube channel, ChangeDaChannel. We'll be back after this. We're going to take your calls and go over some more news. It's the InfoWarrior, PrisonPlanet.tv, Infowars.com.